Hello, everyone. It's been a hot minute and a long week, but we have missed you so, so dearly. It's wonderful to see you all here today. Once again, we are back with the Goldshine Investigations. But we're going to do something different that none of my players had any time to prepare for. And neither did Matt. We are all going to tell you one thing you don't know about our characters. And that Matt doesn't know about our characters, more importantly. What a twist. And we're going to say who we are and where you can find us. But I guess I will have to go first. My name is Graham, or Graham Crackers, and welcome to my channel. You can find me here every Tuesday and Friday. On Tuesdays where I DM Anarian's Rest and Shards of Anarian, and Fridays where I play Geharis Nervos, your favorite Tiefling Paladin Oath of Conquest. Outside of that, you can find me on various channels. Tomorrow you can find me on Polished Cryptids channel, where I play Mavrin Minados, another Tiefling. I don't have a type. Tiefling Pirate, Sorcerer, Warlock. And you can also find me every Thursday for the rest of the month on Dimples and Dice, where I am playing a Lodrin named Trinwinon Aldemariel, who is a ranger. Because people said, Graham, you can't say bad things about the ranger if you've never played one. So now I have. But one fun fact that no one knows about Geharis is Geharis once buried his stuffed animal while they were traveling and has yet to find it.
All right. I suppose I'll go. I'm Pharaoh. I will be playing Utaga, the Water Genasi cleric rogue with an attitude. And one thing you may not know about him is, although he is bisexual, he is more importantly demisexual. So he only is attracted to someone after he forms a emotional bond with them.
Hey everybody, it's me, Kari. I'll be playing Israel, the half-elf Fey Pact Warlock. Something that you may not know about her is, I didn't get to think about this, so give me a hot second. Oh yeah, so you know how she has 7 siblings, right? Well, one of those siblings directly blames her for the leaving of one of the other siblings to go find her fortune in the next town over. They were twins, and this really broke her up about it, and so now she pretty much has like a seething hatred of her older sister that Israel may or may not know about. So there you go. Interesting facts.
Hi, everybody. I'm Derek Sword. I'm going to be playing Griaz Bramblefelt, a bugbear rogue druid. I went through a couple of thoughts on this, but I think that what I'm going to go with is that Griaz, for all of his talk of being, alone in a swamp and smuggler and found family and all that, before his illicit days, Griaz does have a family out there. He has a pack of bugbears. He has at least 2 siblings, a couple of bugbear parents that were actually like pretty supportive and everything. Kind of fell into a bad crowd when he started doing his roguish stuff and getting to smuggling and everything. He hasn't heard from them in years, but there's a family of hugbears out there somewhere.
And I am Jeremy. I will be playing Ivron Blackmont, the Hell Knight, and Asmar Paladin of Devotion. Well, and one thing that Ivron does or has done as part of his backstory is he and Geharis love animals, of course, but as a boy, he remembers often that he used to love the sound of birds and would try to imitate their songs and their chatter. Not only because he loves animals, but also because during his boyhood, he was very lonely and thought that maybe if he could talk to the birds, that they would talk back to him. And without further ado, last but not least, is our wonderful DM.
I'm Matt, your DM. I play everyone else, so I won't do a fun fact for every single character.
But can you do one for one?
Hmm.
Maybe a fun fact about the world.
Oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
A fun fact about yourself, Matt.
or if the world is sentient, then
Yeah, that'd be funny if that was anyway. Um I guess for a character fun fact. Uh for Mistra, even though her hair has been mentioned as slightly graying, and she's commented in the past about being slightly past her prime, she's actually relatively young for a gnome, but her stressful lifestyle has caused her to go gray early. So she plays up the like older than she looks angle deliberately, both just to mess with people and because it tends to make people respect her more.
Feel that
Um,
I've gone gray early too. I feel that, Mistra.
Sorry, had to clear my throat. Sorry, none of us did the like where we can find you part, Graham, but you did spring this on us early, so it's your fault.
I'll find that out at the end. Don't worry about it. Stick around, guys.
All right. Without further ado, let us resume the Goldshine Investigations. As always, roll 20 for music if you guys aren't there already. When we last left off, the party successfully survived their excursion into Nightmare. And with their skins and pelts relatively intact, minds not shattered by the fear and terror they experienced, the party has decided to settle down in Valebright for a few days and enjoy the upcoming Winter Festival, a celebration that takes place as winter approaches the region, where adventurers from all over come, bringing exotic wines and spirits from all over the region for a very wild festival. The party has had multiple public intoxication incidences already, and the festival is even yet to truly begin. Kriaz committed multiple oat-themed felonies.
Allegedly.
As well as created a cocktail named after themselves by mixing a very unwise concoction of alcohols. Utaka has been freshly immunized from the wild lycanthropy plague, with the rest of Valebright shortly to follow. And so, with the beginning of the Winter Festival 2 days away, you guys had settled down for a long rest. I don't believe anyone had anything they wanted to do before the next morning. So, as dawn rises over Valebright, this is the last day before the festival begins. And already you guys can, as you begin to wake up, hear chatter from the town as activity is slowly beginning to return. Presumably the GSIA is distributing the vaccine, and people are beginning preparations for the festival on relatively short notice. So things are going to be busy today. With that, as you all wake up, long rested, what would you all like to do?
I think that the first thing that Geharos does when waking up is notices that his hair is all grown back, miraculously. And then I will go downstairs and attempt to cook breakfast. Most likely I am making like bacon, and some eggs, and some toast. And I think that I make it before everyone wakes up so that I can put a skillet of it outside everyone's door. In the hopes that the smell will wake them, or even better, maybe it's a prank and they step in it.
Okay. Garrus, you wake up early and begin. You've cooked before, so it's not. While you may not have the level of experience that someone like Israel has, you at least have a relatively healthy amount of skill. skill with a skillet, you could say. And as the rest of you begin to wake up, Ivron, even you, like waking up at your traditionally early time, you all smell a wonderful breakfast being cooked. And as you all open your doors, whether you react fast enough or not is up to you, but there is a plate of nice looking bacon and eggs outside of each of your doors.
Is there enough for the rooms that have a residence of 2 people? Okay. So I guess when Israel wakes up, she is sort of delighted by the smell, but then on the heels of that comes the concern of, wait, who's in the kitchen? And she looks across the room, and Utaka is there. There's a small phew. But then it grows again of, but who's in the kitchen?
There's just a checklist of who's most concerning.
Exactly. She's wondering how concerned she should be about this, about who's in the kitchen. So she'll wake up and, throw clothes on and head out the door, tentatively, because the smell is probably getting stronger than she assumes it will, and would pick up the skillet and just look at it, the skillets outside everyone's doors. Something is tickling her mind, but like, this is weird. And she'd head downstairs with her skillet in hand, because leaving that for someone to trip over probably wouldn't be fun, and also a waste of food. But so you'll hear her tromping down the stairs to peer into the kitchen to find out who's there.
Harris is definitely like standing there, like flipping a skillet of like eggs, just shirtless, like just humming to himself, probably like a marching song that him and Ivron occasionally sing.
This really needs a moment. Like, she just sort of stops in the doorway and just stares for a hot moment as like Israel.exe just stops working.
Damn straight, it's a hot moment.
Like,
Hey.
she's just like, what?
Yeah, with the bacon frying, it is pretty hot.
Every minute can be a hot moment if you have fire resistance.
Quite true. He does not. So he's just standing there looking absolutely dumb. Like, she's like dumbfounded, just holding the skillet and just looking until she sort of like shakes herself and walks in, moves to like sit it down on the table, probably making the most sound that she's made since you're up early.
What could I say? I didn't need that much sleep. I figure I spent most of yesterday sleeping and rallying. So today is a new day.
Your hair's back. That explains it.
You have noticed? It has miraculously grown back. No doubt because of my miraculous recovery powers. I have no
Sure,
doubt.
we'll go with that as she walks over and just goes to ruffle his hair as she overlooks the skillet of what is currently cooking.
Oh yeah, it's still just eggs and bacon.
Yeah, she just snatches a hot bacon. And
Oh, rude, a bacon thief. How could you have done this?
it's better when it's warm. She just eats it.
I mean, I cannot complain with that. And I think my tail is kind of maybe like wrapped or around your forearm. And I'll just keep cooking in case people want extras, like Barry.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most important people.
Yeah. All right. Griaz and Ivron, what are the two of you doing?
I imagine that Griaz probably sniffed the bacon and eggs and whatnot.
Yeah, with that perception, absolutely.
Yeah, as Israel was walking by, like there might be just a crack in the door, and a very long limbed paw just grabbed a skillet and just drag it on in. He's probably got to spend some time. He's got to feed the fish. His new roommate, who is not as talkative as his old roommate was. He is also trying to make sure that all of Melvin's books don't get like too soggy underneath the bathtub fish tank? It's not working. It's fine. Yeah. Eventually, I think that he's gonna go downstairs, and he might just like he's a very sneaky boy too. So maybe when he just like peeks in the kitchen, and he's also shirtless, and he sees Harris and Israel, he's just gonna turn right back around, go back and hang out with his fish. Just I had enough sleep for this. No, that's fine.
The fish just kind of glubs up at you.
Yeah, I know. I relate. Yep.
And Ivron, what are you doing? You're surprised to find some activity in the house before even you have fully risen.
I think Ibron's just gonna pick up his plate and start eating as he's getting ready. Whatever the equivalent to brushing your teeth is in D&D, he'll do that and
Yeah.
groom himself. He'll probably keep the beard because it's colder months now, and he'll probably actually put on his regalia. Start to put on his regalia for the festival. Maybe ask Israel to help him with his hair because she seems pretty stylish with hers. And when he comes down to have his brown morning potion, remark to Geharis, put on a shirt. Don't you know that you're not supposed to cook bacon with a shirt off?
Oh, do not be such a rule stickler! The rules of the culinary world are meant to be broken if you want to create something truly magnificent.
And Israel just looks at him like, why would you say such a thing? Why would you do that, Ivron?
Bacon grease gets on your chest. It stings. No?
I mean, maybe for people that don't have fire resistance.
She just like looks like, but he's a...
He's getting like shiny.
Yeah.
Literally just greasing himself up.
My abs just, glistening. Ray of sunlight right through the kitchen window.
Though maybe he has a point. Should take a bath later. And she'd just moved to go get the food from her plate at the table. So you sleep well? To Ivron.
Oh, yes, quite well. How about you? And he like bounces between you and Geharis. Is like, did you guys sleep well?
I'm just like, yeah, fine. It was interesting to wake up to this though. Was not expecting that. In fact, there was a moment where I was a little bit concerned about he was in the kitchen this early, but then it was just him.
Yeah, actually, you make a great point, and I'll go over and tussle his new hair.
What can I say? It seems that everyone has forgotten that when we first went to Terminus, I was the one doing the cooking on the road.
You're right, we did.
That's not what I remember.
I totally made flat cakes.
Once.
That does not change the fact that I made flat cakes.
No, it doesn't.
But I'm glad that everyone slept well. From what I have heard from the town criers, there is a festival coming.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you mentioned it too, didn't you, Ivron?
Yes, well, I mean, that it was the plan to hopefully get the town to celebrate. We've been through a lot.
Is that what all... Then she gestures to the regalia, that's about?
Well, yes, not only that, though. I do intend to make my rounds today, and I just don't think I'll have time to get dressed.
That is smart. You never know what's going to happen with all of us around. She pointedly just looks at Garrus.
I feign the most hurt expression I can possibly manage. Like, me? I have never once gotten in trouble or caused a riot or anything of the sort. I was going to lie low today and just let the merrymaking happen. Cross my heart.
So that means you're not coming with me to the festival?
Oh, well, I was unaware that I had such a beautiful date to the festival. I would be honored.
And she's chuckling as she's continuing to eat. This is delightful.
I wonder if Utaka's woken up.
Speaking of which, Utaka, normally one of the earlier risers of the party, at least when you're on the road, you kind of start to stir a bit as Israel wakes up and leaves the room, and are the last to rise, as you can hear conversation down in the kitchen, muffled from downstairs, and you can hear from next door some slightly muffled one-sided conversation from Kriaz to the fish.
I am entirely too sore to move at everyone else's speed right now, I think. After all that injections and the...
Yeah, you're probably sore all over.
Oh yeah. Still sore. Very sore. And so he kind of just like lays there, cracks an eye, sighs, tries to fall back asleep, but there's too much noise and movement and people and armor clanking. Evron. So it sounds like the day has started, which he comes to terms with over a prolonged period of time.
That's fair.
Uh,
As he's coming to terms with that, I think Israel would notice that he hasn't come down yet and would probably bring up a fresh skillet to go check on him. Because he is usually up early.
I think when you enter, you see his nose moving before his eyes do. He's just like... just sniffing at the air.
You okay there?
Yeah.
You want me to...
Everything's great.
Yes, I can see that. And she comes over to the bedside and sets down the skillet and would sit down. So, what's really going on?
He slowly cracks an eye open. What do you mean?
Are you capable of movement? Are you just being lazy?
Lifts a hand. See? It moves.
She'd hit it.
Ow!
Ah, okay. And would set it back down. All right. Whenever you're ready, then. Do you want me to get you anything? Like a muscle rub? Something?
Ew, no. You're like my sister. Don't do that.
I can fetch it for you. I wasn't offering to put it on, you weirdo.
No, I'm fine. Thanks for the food.
She ruffles his hair too, but more like she's almost like half smothering him with his pillow. And then she gets up to get some other stuff, straighten out her hair, brush her hair, actually. Probably just redo that whole nonsense. And,
Kriaz is in the doorway eating the cold skillet.
Oh no.
I don't want to go to waste. I want him to step on it. That's the... Yep. Hey, what are we doing today?
Festival. That's what it sounds like. The winter festival. Unless you had plans.
I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. I went downstairs. I saw Harris topless, and then I did peek Evron, and I'm not sure if I'm overdressed or underdressed at this point.
I would definitely shoot for the middle vein there.
At least pants. That's fair.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I would say at least pants and a shirt. Shoes are optional.
I can dig that. I mean, it's gonna be cold though, so.
Yeah, so you might
Hey,
want the shoes anyway.
Do I need to buy
you doing
more
folks here?
clothes?
I don't know. I get all the festivals I've ever gone to were fairly casual affairs. Like I'd usually like wear something like, and she like gestures to her dress that she's already worn, but she's already worn it. So, probably shouldn't wear it twice in one day. Like I'd wear something like that, or even less fancy than that. But
Well, I don't know. There's shit ton of festivals in Phrygia, but it's been ain't like I ever had anything nice for those ones. I don't know.
want to get nice things? We can.
I don't know.
Go shopping, bud.
Yeah,
Not
but if
for a
we
not
look
for a tub this
fancy,
time?
then folks are gonna try and pick our pockets, huh?
We don't want to look too fancy, and that's why you would definitely need to come along. You'd have to be able to coach us like the right level of fancy, so that we don't look like roots.
Israel, are you doing folks' hair? Because I got a lot of it, and I could use help.
Sure. And she'd take her comb and her brush. How about we move this to the living room? And she looks to Utaka. Whenever you feel like moving, we'll be around.
Yeah.
And she'd head downstairs. Probably get Griaz to sit in front of her as she sits on the couch to do his hair, and would arrange for Ivron to get into the loop if he wants his hair done.
Y'all close the door after you.
Yeah, probably.
Probably steal a piece of bacon on my way out. Gotta move faster. Sleight of hand. Horse crimes.
Horse crimes.
It's the Bandit King. Sorry. All right. So after they're out, there is a thing. I think when Utaka does start pushing himself up, and starts rifling through his bag looking for something, I think he would kind of encounter something he hasn't really thought about since he acquired it. But he will kind of pull out with some bemusement the religious amulet that Gaheris gave him in Nightmare, and be like, one, like, what the fuck is this doing here? And then remembering where he got it, he would like to try and, I don't know, can he religion his way into knowing what deity or whatever this represents?
Indeed, you can. Make me a religion check. And Graham, remind me where you retrieved that amulet.
Heck, I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe I remember where it was. I just
I
wanted
picked
to,
it up and I gave it away.
Okay, I just wanted to double check
I'm
it.
fairly certain it might have been off Evil Utaka,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just checking.
but maybe not.
Okay, so that's 13 plus 4, so 17.
Yeah. Utaka looking over the odd little amulet. You recognize it as, it doesn't have any on its own religious significance. Instead, you actually recognize it as being akin to the symbol that was on the door that your darker counterpart in Nightmare had been behind. The symbol of a trident surrounded by a circling rat, which you know was a design you yourself were contemplating as a
It's
way
on his
to.
cloak.
Yeah. So it's a bit trippy seeing it on like very proper official looking jewelry, but
Wasn't this the amulet that Gaheris gave me that he told me to give to Ivron if Gaheris died?
Oh, you're
That's
right.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the amulet that my father gave me before he was killed.
Okay. You said it was
Yep.
religious amulet.
Yep.
I was trying to
Which
figure-
Gaheris figures it's a religious amulet.
Okay.
okay.
So I acquired the one from Evil Utaka somehow. That's fine. But the Gaheris one, what's
Yeah.
that?
That's
so
the inheritor background item.
yeah. So this actually, so with a religion check on this one, You don't recognize this to have any godly affiliations, but you do know this amulet has something of a history behind it. Um, you recognize this amulet as it's not something you're super intimately familiar with, but you have seen this symbol mentioned offhandedly, typically seen on the person of wealthier people traveling through Frisia, as it was a mercantile city that often saw like people coming to and fro. Um, you recognize this symbol as definitely being associated with some foreign nobility or aristocracy, although you recognize the region of its origin more through recognizing the accent of those wearing it as being Yavik. But beyond that, you do not know the significance of the emblem itself, what noble family it belongs to, or anything like that, as you don't really have the context for that. But you do recall heavily accented wealthy travelers from Yav with a similar emblem.
Would this Yavik accent perhaps be the accent that Geharis has?
Actually, no.
Oh.
It's Ivron talks with a slightly understated Yavik accent. It's very beneath the surface. You imagine if he was to talk with someone from Yav, it would probably promptly reemerge. But Geharis's accent is not Yavik in the slightest.
Huh. Okay. I kind of palm it, twirl it a bit, inspect it. Probably do some like running tally of how much I think I could get if I fleeced it, and then stick it in my pocket.
Okay. All right, noted. Oh, and I will say the symbol you see on the medallion itself it takes you a minute to figure out what the design is like trying to go for. It appears to be a coat of arms. You recognize it as being a spear with a shield built into the center, having an almost like clock-like design to it.
Fancy shit for fancy people.
Yeah. But with your medallions examined, you're sore, but the breakfast is tempting, and you begin to rise. As you all, one by one, begin to gather in the quote-unquote living room, more just the dining area, serving a multiple function. What would you all like to do today as you go through breakfast and Israel, you start fancying up Griaz's hair?
Exactly. So, what she's doing is mostly combing it out, firstly, but she is managing to tie back some of the hair that would normally fall on his face, and she's got two braids going behind his head, with one longer one, depending on how long his hair is, that she can do, and yeah, tying it up so it looks like sleek and fancy.
Feel
For
very
Ibron,
fancy.
yeah, for Ibron, she'd do a simpler, just straight braid down the back that looks official and well tended.
All right. Utaka, if and when you decide to join everyone downstairs, you see everyone looks great. Ivron is decked out in fancy regalia. Geharis is topless, but it complements his figure at least.
At this point, I would have put on a shirt.
Okay.
Utaka stalled too long.
All right. But you see Israel and Griaz with hair and fur respectively, sleeked and smoothed out and cleaned. Overall, everyone looks nice. Looks like they're ready for a night on the town.
And it's only 7 a.m.
Hey, Utaka, I was thinking about going get some nice clothes because apparently we're doing something fancy and whatnot. You got anything nice you can wear?
Uh,
I'm gonna take that as a no. All right. Uh,
I'll come with you.
I mean, he kind of like actually furrows his brow and plops his bag down and starts rifling through the stuff and like pulls out just piles of weird random crap. Uh, two books, some daggers, various personal knickknacks, the Jiangxi talisman, two rat ear headbands, two vials of cottonmouth venom.
hey, I made that.
Yeah. And a handful of stuff before he actually pulls out a set of velvetish fine clothes, which he acquired on the road, and he like stares at them like he hasn't looked at them in a while. They've just kind of been like shoved to the bottom of his bag. I don't even know if these would fit me.
A question for a tailor, for certain.
You are not taking me to him.
Okay. And she just looks confused a minute. You don't mean Tenniel, do you? He's a haberdasher. He does hats.
Like only hats?
And she just nods.
Yeah, it's a haberdasher.
It.
Oh.
We're going to the tailor.
Exactly. The one that does.
Like different people?
Yes. Seamstresses are also different people.
What do they do that tailors don't?
Tailors do suits and things that have structure to them. Seamstresses are more dressmakers, primarily. They can also do the other things, but
Why don't dresses have structure?
it depends on the style of the dress, but most of them don't because they don't need to.
Okay.
I only know so much about dressmaking.
He looks baffled.
Anyway, most shops have both a tailor and a seamstress, or someone who does the skills of either one.
Perhaps we could even find a shop where an artificer works as well. There could be a tinker, a tailor. If you were there, a soldier, and then if I was there, a spy.
Yeah. Do you
Making a movie that no one watched.
You look to Garrus and Ron, like, do you?
I do not mind accompanying you. I think that I still have my noble finery from when I was away.
That's right.
Give me just a moment to get dressed.
Mhm.
And I will turn, and before I turn up, I will point at Utaka and say,
Oh no.
I do have my hair back.
Okay, at this point, he was very distracted by this conversation of tailors and haberdashers, but at this one and the sight of you with your hair, he kind of like double takes. He's like,
Also, Tailors and Haberdashers is my favorite fashion-themed tabletop RPG. I just want to say.
I like the sound of it thus far.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I will head upstairs and get dressed in the like double. That's like a blue trim, the same robin blue as my skin, and like a black, like dress pants, dress shirt, undershirt, and I will just head back downstairs. I think I like splash some water over my face, like wet my hair, and just slick it back.
All right. In that case, with the party all gussied up, are you all ready to head out on the town and, from the sounds of it, do some fancy shopping?
That sounds about correct.
You've all made everyone self-conscious now, complaining about how fancy we need to be.
Well, it's like we don't know how fancy this is.
Yeah. All right. In that case, with the paladins decked out, the warlock and druid look at least cleaned up very nicely, and the cleric still a bit aggravated about the affair overall. You all begin to head out to the streets of Veilbright, and you're all relieved to see some life has truly returned to the city. While it's not as crowded as it once was when you first came, there are people on the streets, and the sense of relief is palpable. You can see people running to and fro, some delivering supplies, presumably for the upcoming festival, and you can see some people on the streets just casually using prestidigitation and thaumaturgy as they go, more just celebrating the fact that they can. So while the streets are not as busy as they once were, they are certainly just as loud. And as you all begin to head up to the second tier of Veilbright, where most of the shops would be, not only does it get a lot busier up in that area, as it seems like this is going to be where the core of the festival is likely going to be rooted, you see a lot of odd figures wandering around the streets. While Veilbright is, for the most part, inhabited by, a relatively healthy collection, being relatively central of a very melting pot region, as Mazai tends to attract a lot of colorful characters, but these characters are colorful by colorful standards. You see groups of very all sorts of species and cultures mixing together, loud conversations in all sorts of languages happening, and you can see stands and stalls being set up, replacing the Veilbright ones that were ordinarily just distributing food made in the city. Being replaced by ones that, while they don't appear to be finished yet, look like they're advertising potentially some exotic wares. All sorts of loud and standout people are walking around as you start looking around for just a place to get your fashion situated. I will say, since ordinarily we skim over the shopping for the most part, fancy clothes, for those of you who do not already have them, will cost you 15 gold. There is a dwarvish finery that is willing to assemble them for you. There is a lot of them, so even though it's a custom order, they can work fast. And your fancy clothes, they say, should be ready to pick up. You can pay extra to have it ready by tonight, or pay the typical 15, and they'll have it ready by tomorrow morning.
I would like to, while we're traveling through this enormous crowd, would it be maybe an insight to gather fashion information and see what is fashionable right now?
Gaharis would probably have
in
that
the area?
Information because Gaharis is.
He's not asking Gaharis.
And I'll say, Utaka, I'm actually going to call this a history check, but I'll give you advantage since you have a frame of reference around you. Because this is more trying to get insight into a culture rather than just tell if someone's lying or not. So I'm going to call this a history check, but I'll give you advantage.
So that's a 16 plus 1 for a 17.
Looking around, the fashions are a bit widespread. It takes you quite a bit of walking to find any sort of pattern, and even then where patterns can be found. But you do start to put together that, unlike back home where the fashions were typically very frilly and constrictive, the fashions here tend to be more along the lines of robes and silken fineries rather than the frilly, colorful ones that are meant to get across a sense of nobility. Which, looking at Gaheris and Ivron's choice of finery, does make sense.
The long
They-
drapey things.
Yeah, like more in the line of robes and such. Although, as you look around at the crowd, you notice the bulk of them actually don't appear to be wearing such things. While a few of them have gone the extra mile to do so, and clearly have put a lot of work into their appearance, you notice several that are actually dressed more like you, dressed in relatively simple clothes, many of which are wearing armor and have weapons on them. And between that and little snippets of conversation you catch as you go, you actually start to gather a lot of the people you're looking at are adventurers coming to the city for the festival. And you can almost feel your eyes glow a bit as your eyes gaze over what are definitely some magic items on all of their persons. These are adventurers from all over coming to Veilbright for the festival, and they have those who didn't choose to dress their finest brought their finest.
Utaka, oh.
Puppy trouble. Oh.
I think Utaka would stare a little too long at some of the more expensive items. Can't keep his roguish eyes from wandering.
All right, so so those of you who want to get fineries, 15 gold or 30 if you want to have it ready by tonight. But you can feel free to, if not say it now, put some thought into it, and then later what you want your fancy outfit to look like if you order one. That being said, once the orders are placed, you guys are in a city that's getting more crowded by the minute as adventurers come from all over to get ready for the festival. Is there anything you guys would like to do once the clothing arrangements are made?
I would just say that Ivron, already having his raiment, would probably just buy like a large bow for Barry and maybe like try to find a harness for Francine to like spruce them up, and like polish for like Yao's bell. And he'd be like also talking to everybody, just be like, "Oh, well, welcome. I hope you have a good day," and just making face.
Okay. All right. All right, so for the harness, for some polish for the bell, and for a bow for Barry, I'll say you can get that at the most of that at the Dwarvish place, and those are like easy to just grab while you're there. I'll say that all of that together will cost you an additional 5 gold, and maybe just a general charisma check. And depending on how well you do, I'll say that perhaps you may like learn the names and of a few of these characters along the way.
18.
Okay, so I'll keep that in mind. So if any of these pop back up, I'll mention if Ivron met them on the streets. You meet a wide collection of characters from all over the region, some not even from Mazai at all, just adventurers who paid for passage here just to enjoy the festival and see if there was any business for them while they were in the area. A few of them, from the sounds of it, have been having adventures of their own on like places in the region that you guys had not been to, and are excitedly swapping stories with other travelers. From the sounds of it, those who had successfully done quests of their own are looking forward to spending quite a bit of their newly earned money here. Overall, things look pretty exciting. Garrus, you have something?
Yeah, I would like to stop by Basil's, and I would like to sell and hand back the wand of pyrotechnics. I no longer need it. It served its purpose for the birthday. But I would like to sell my +1 longsword of enervating that he crafted for me.
Okay.
Because now I have 3 longswords on my person. That's a lot.
That's a lot of swords. That's fair. Okay. Here, give me just a second.
Because I think the overall cost originally was around 800.
Yeah. So okay. In return for the wand of pyrotechnics and selling him the +1 longsword of enervating, you get 500 gold in return, which Basil brushes off as a sword like this can sell for quite a lot. So, especially with adventurers in town.
Yeah.
So you get 500 gold back in exchange for the enervating sword. You return the wand of pyrotechnics. Is there anything else you would like to do?
Yeah. What do I know about the culture of this festival? Like, what are is it a gift-giving event? Is it like a Japanese street festival? What kind of feel is it? Kind of.
I'll say with your talks with nobility, with the Winter Festival not that far away, you would know this. The Winter Festival is a event that settlers here sort of learned from the people who lived in this region before them. It is a festival to both celebrate for and prepare for the coming of winter, which you imagine is part of the reason that the sale of spirits in particular is so popular. Typically, the idea is the festival will actually continue, although it'll mellow out after the first few days. The festival overall will last 16 days. And the idea is people will have that time to gather supplies from what the people at the festival are selling, which will prepare them for the Mazaishan winters, which can be a bit on the harsher side. At least depending on where you go. So you know that it's typically a street festival. There are games. Travelers typically all come to where the festival is being hosted to both sell and purchase things. Again, with the idea that it's meant to a combination of celebrate and prepare yourself for a potentially harsh winter. And it will last 16 days in total. But again, it typically mellows out after the first few days. But the festival itself is culturally considered to be still going until 16 days have passed.
Are there any nobles that I knew that would be attending?
You aren't 100% sure. Most of them it did sound like they were interested in attending, but you also have heard that putting the festival in Veilbright after the plague was considered kind of a last minute decision. So you don't know if news of the plague caused them to cancel those plans and it's too soon for them to resume them. Perhaps if they do come, they might be just late. So you aren't 100% sure, but you know that they were originally planning to attend, but plans just simply may have changed in light of the recent events.
Are there any noteworthy individuals who are like the host or keynote speaker of this event?
While
what
not
does security look like?
For that, make me a perception check.
All right, I'd love to make perception.
Can I do something similar? I would also like to know what security there is for very legitimate reasons.
Yeah. That's an 18
so you can,
for me.
You can roll separately. Yeah, Harris already has advantage, so you roll perception.
I'm gonna use a luck point
Oh.
That's fair.
to make that a 28.
All right. So 1828. So Harris, I will say for the first thing you asked, again, with your brother being close with the GSIA, you would know that the Goldshine Supernatural Investigation Agency is sort of acting as the unofficial host of the event, mostly by dint of with the recent goings-on in the region. It is sort of a comfort factor that the experts of potentially dangerous situations are on call should things go a bit on the southern side. And Harris, by your eye, looking around, security is relatively tight. You would know from what Yvonne has likely told you, although Jeremy, correct me if Yvonne wouldn't have shared this information, but you would probably know that Yvonne and Mistra have actually been talking behind the scenes about tightening security at the gates of Veilbright to ensure that Children of Red Sight cultists do not infiltrate the festival. So security at the gates are rather tight, and while there are guards in the area of the festival itself, they're a little on the laxer side, although you and Utaka, this is something you are absolutely able to observe.
I want to amend I was looking at the wrong number. It is 23, not 28.
Okay, so I will say
if that makes any difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Taka, while you do not know about the heightened patrols at the entrance of Veilbright, you do notice, some, sparse guard patrols. Although both of you are able to make the observation that you imagine security will not be super necessary, given that between you guys, other Goldshine Supernatural Investigation Agency operatives, and a veritable smorgasbord of experienced adventurers wielding magical equipment, the idea is probably that someone attacks this festival at their own risk.
I never write anything off. So,
am I under the impression, looking around, that we're supposed to be the police?
You certainly do see other Goldshine workers doing so. However, Mistra had told you directly the last time you saw her that the idea was for you guys especially to get the chance to relax, given that you did just save the city twice in the span of 3 months. So while other Goldshine investigators are acting as guards in addition to the Veilbright City guards, and the adventurers can seem like they're able to look out for themselves. You've been told that you're basically all but ordered, relax, take some time off. So you can, but you're not expected to.
I would just like to keep a good eye on where these guards and other investigators are positioned in a proximity to people and their very expensive items.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, I guess I'd be keeping my eye out for the, with the snow and with this being a winter festival, for the snowman. The good old, gosh, what was his name? The Children of Red Sight agent who was all frosty.
Yeah. Frosty Boy.
Frosty Boy.
Kenny Caldwell.
Yes, Kenny Caldwell. So I would be looking out for anyone that meets his appearance.
Okay, noted.
Because, snow-themed festival, snow-themed villain. I may not be really good at math, but things are sure adding up.
Valid. Okay.
Utaka, how obvious are you being about scoping people out for?
You would notice.
Okay.
I don't think he's being super obvious, because he grew up doing this.
Yeah. You know not to be super obvious when you're casing a joint, but Griaz is observant and would know that look anywhere.
Exactly.
Because Griaz is doing the same goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So in Thieves' Cant, he's just gonna be like, hey, bud, you seem to got something in your eye.
What do I have in my eye, Matt?
Make me another perception check. I'll give you advantage since Griaz is looking too.
Okay.
So you're just looking for any, essentially adventure magic items that catch your eye?
Yeah, that also look easy to steal, probably.
Yeah, so that would be a 13 for me.
Okay. The two of you look around, and most of their magical gear is either strapped to them, being worn on their person. Most of it that you can see isn't exactly being toted in their pockets. So nothing you see looks immediately easy to steal. However, I will say that between the two of you's, noted talents, that from the looks of it, a lot of them are likely looking to sell some of this, and it would likely be easier to steal it from them when it is not on their person being carried with them. So it doesn't appear like there's anything you can easily take right now, but you estimate that if some of this is going to be sold, you likely could at that point. However, I will say that for just some magic gear you see heading what appears to be in the direction of the tavern, a red-headed human female adventurer with chainmail armor that looks heavy, likely enchanted, and has various swords. You can see immediately long swords, short swords, daggers, about 6 blades in total, several of which have runic patterns carved into them. And trailing behind her, you see a short halfling male dressed in a emerald green cloak, a little on the fancy side, but beneath it, Griaz, you especially are observant enough to see several daggers and what appear to be thieves' tools. And the cloak and boots, at a glance, you estimate might be magical, especially because listening closely, especially from your observant ears, Griaz, this halfling does not appear to be making any sound anywhere they go.
Utaka's eyes are just trailing after that woman, and he kind of over in Thieves' Cant is like the look of those blades, huh? What do you think about going into the pawn shop business?
Yeah. That sounds like a great idea. I think we could do a little gift shopping later for the holiday. I'm not sure that we necessarily have the resources on us right now. Want to keep our hands clean and just want to make sure we wash them first. But hey, teamwork makes the dream work, bud.
All right, later then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does anyone have anything they'd like to do while just Israel?
Yeah, so when she was at, I guess, the tailor's, she has been speaking with the head guy. They were, I guess, or girl, whomever.
It's a collection of male dwarves who claim to be brothers, although there's 13 of them in total. You estimate that is likely incorrect.
She does not actually. She's like, no, that absolutely tracks. Sure.
The head one is a somewhat elderly-looking dwarven man with a pair of moon spectacles pushed up on his bulbous nose, and speaks with a very bright, chipper tone. So you had something you wanted to ask of him?
So she's going to ask about warm weather clothing. What are the current going rates on, new socks, new just general sorts of general wear traveling clothes for colder weather. Pretty much for everyone who might have ordered clothes just now, and also gesturing to some of the ones who haven't. And she'd also gesture at someone like a Harris and ask what would you judge his size to be? And she's going to be getting some warm weather clothes for herself, possibly some for the others, depending on how much it costs. But she's definitely going to be taking down the information about how much it costs and how much is wool currently going for.
Okay. The dwarf is good-natured about it, and whenever you ask what he estimates Gaharis' size to be, he simply looks Gaharis up and down, looks back to you. Big! But after a bit of a chuckle, he seems to have a relatively jovial personality to him. He says that a set of warm clothes for everyone in the party, sans the animals or any NPCs you may bring with you, would run you about 50 gold. He's apologetic about the cost, pointing out that with winter coming, warm clothes are obviously going up in price a little bit. But he says 10 gold per outfit, possibly more if you want them customized. But if you just want something warm that fits, then 10 gold for everyone. So 50 in total.
So warm that fits, she's buying a selection of thread and a bolt of just black wool as well. Yeah, I think that's what she's going to. And then she's going to ask if he knows if there are any, if she would buy here or somewhere else a set of sturdier armor for herself. She plucks at her leathers. They look pretty worn. They've been through a lot at this point. She's like, I'm going to need something better. Where should I go?
All right. So for the for set of warm clothes for everyone, the wool, the bolt, and just kit for all of that, I'll say in total 63 gold. And whenever you ask about armor, he does not do armor himself. They are tailors first and foremost, but he does point you to a place not too far from here that does deal in armors. So you estimate you can take a trip there. So 63 for a set of warm clothes for everyone, and some wool and sewing equipment for yourself.
Yep.
All right. So Israel's heading to possibly get some new armor. Is anyone else doing anything specific?
I wanna call someone. I'm gonna phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
I would like to, looking around and looking at my own hand, realize that I don't know where the fuck my ring is. And I would like to phone Joshua Scott.
All right, so you're going to use sending. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you like to say?
Hey. So where the fuck are you, and where the fuck is my ring?
It's not too long. You get a very prompt response. Good thing you mentioned it. I almost forgot to return it. I was thinking about taking a vacation soon. I'm at the Lucky Griffin. Just meet me there and I'll hand it over.
I will slip away from the group.
Is it like stealthily, like with a purpose, or is it just kind of breaking off from the group?
I think it would give a little bit of that vibe.
Well, I'm asking just to see like whether.
Yeah, basically, do you actually want the group to not see you do this?
I don't know if he's trying that hard to be stealthy. I think he's just.
It's more the way
he's
moves.
just shady.
Exactly.
Okay,
He moves like a shady boy. That's just
Yeah.
how he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our sweet shady chaos being.
He doesn't say anything and he just kind of slinks away, but if you want to notice him with your natural advantage on perception, sure.
Yeah, I think I would issue a wave to Israel, and then I would follow and trail the sweet chaos boy.
Okay. So Gaharis and Utaka are heading off to the tavern. Griaz, what are you up to? You've been quiet, so.
Yeah, I think he's mostly just been along for the ride on this. He's kind of just, this is the first like set of nice clothes he's going to have in a while. So he absolutely did pay the extra money to get the nicer clothes as soon as possible. He's just kind of waiting on that.
So 30 from you instead of 15.
Mm-hmm,
yeah. All right. Ivron, what are you up to?
Just as everyone's doing their thing, everyone's just again talking to people, and if he gets his, the ribbon and the vest.
Yeah, which you do. Those can be just handed over.
He might have already just gone off to put the bow on Barry and shine Yao's bell. And
okay. So if Ron's heading back to the house, Gaharis and Utaka heading to the tavern, Israel and Griaz, any preference on where you guys want to go, or are you just going to kind of hang out in the town and chat up some people?
Well, I'd offer him to come with me to go pick out some armor if he wants, because that's what she's
I'm down for that.
Exactly, while you're waiting, because she's got to come back and pick up like her huge order as well, like to carry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's also interested in the festival. So yeah, if there are like stalls and things set up like that, he's going to be kind of just checking stuff out, especially if there's like games.
Yeah.
That's
most of them don't appear to be finished yet. Although you do see a lot of them are under construction and should be finished soon. So Israel and Griez, you start heading to the armorer. Everyone start heading back to the house. So Utaka with Gaharis trailing a bit behind, you start making your way to the Lucky Griffin. The tavern is packed. Utaka, you actually recognize the red-headed human and the halfling that you saw earlier making their way there also. They get there first, but they don't seem to pay you any immediate mind. You don't, at this point, you're not a standout person by their standards. So these two blue dudes stroll up into the tavern, and Utaka, you do see Joshua sitting at the bar, along with a relatively large group surrounding him, all talking relatively quietly compared to the rowdier adventurers. While Utaka, your attention is drawn to that. Utaka, you do see this, but Gaharis, without the same specific purpose that Utaka had, your attention's actually drawn to Quincy, who is currently in conversation with a very finely dressed, elderly-looking human woman, who has several very muscular women behind her, toting cages and boxes. While the boxes like kind of struggle and make noise, the cages you can see contain mimics. There appear to be about 7 in total. Mimics in cages and boxes. From your travels?
Yeah.
Make me a history check.
I would love to. That's a 16 plus whatever my history is. Which is a 1. So
yeah, I was going to say,
17.
Okay.
I fell asleep in those classes.
Okay.
School is what Everon was for.
It's true, Everon's actually very proficient in history.
While you have not met her directly, you have seen her a couple times before. You recognize this as Captain Brooke Buckler, a sailor that travels through the central lake of the region, as it's very, very large, allowing for its own mercantile pursuits, and typically acts as let's call it an exotic trader for coastal cities in the region, typically simply taking advantage of the fact that with her ship she can, for example, get something from cask to terminus much faster than a merchant caravan could on foot.
Was she affiliated with the poachers?
You would know she is not with the poachers. However, you do know that there's rumors that she engages in the occasional bit of piracy when the mood strikes her. Although you know primarily she is an exotic trader. Typically not poaching, simply just if there's something really weird and specific you need quickly, she can usually get it for you. Something of a smuggler / pirate.
Okay. And she has a whole bunch of boxes full of mimics, or are the boxes also mimics, and she's just stuffed a mimic inside of a mimic. I'm just gonna keep my eye on Utaka and make a note to come back that way. I'm sure Utaka wants to talk to someone shady like that. But
or maybe he knows better. Oh, yeah, you catch him slinking off over towards Joshua Scott. And so those people that Joshua is sitting by, does he seem to know them? Is he like engaging with them?
Yes, he does seem to know all of them. And from the looks of their general demeanors and equipment, you would estimate that these two are either mercenaries or adventurers. And given his friendly demeanor and the fact that they are completely unfamiliar to you, you guess that these might be the people that you guys indirectly rescued from Nightmare. a few of them glance your way as you approach, but Joshua pats one of them, a female elvish archer, on the shoulder and gives you a smile, Utaka. Well, you got here in a timely manner. I'll give you that one. And he gives you a smile and promptly takes the ring off his finger and offers it out to you.
Kind of give him like a little 2-finger salute in greeting, and look over his companions. Do they seem as adequately magically geared as other people? My eyes are just roaming.
Make an investigation check.
Okay. Oh, that's just a 10. So.
It's hard to tell. Their gear is not as immediately obvious. They don't seem to be carrying as much of it, so you estimate that you're a perceptive and smart person when the mood strikes you. Given that you can't see any obvious gear, you're guessing that they either don't have as much, are hiding it better, or they might be spellcasters and just simply don't have as much of a need for them as a result. Looking over them, they appear to be slightly the worse for wear, several sporting fresh-looking scars, but are relatively in good spirits given the festival, although you notice a lot of them are pretty deep in the drink already. Joshua appearing to be the sort of unspoken designated sober one. But he gives you a broad and genuinely happy smile as you take the ring back, and pats one of the ones closest to him, a kobold in somewhat dark robes, on the shoulder. You've done us all a service, and obviously I have no intention of forgetting that.
I just think it's nice seeing you with some friends that aren't us.
He gives a nod. Yeah, it's good to have everyone back. What about you guys? You planning to stick around for the festival, or business as usual once you've had some drink?
I don't know. What were you thinking, Gaharis?
That is a very complicated question that I have not planned out yet.
He gives a bit of a shrug. Well, as long as your team is good with whatever decision you end up making, I suppose. I'm not your boss. Me, once the festival's passed, I think I'm gonna take a vacation for a while. See the world.
I don't blame you.
I don't know if we're gonna let our boss make those decisions for us much longer either.
He gives a bit of a shrug and, well, whatever you decide to do. And he looks to you as well, Gaharis, and gives you a nod. Thank you for everything.
It was my pleasure. If your travels take you towards the Barrowdales, make sure to look around and keep your nose to the ground and your ears open for anything that may interest everyone.
The Barrowdale, off in Yav, isn't it? Suppose I could make the trip. What do you guys think? And you see a few of them kind of like glance to each other before giving either nods or simply shrugs. And I suppose I may take you up on that.
I happen to know that there is a wonderful tavern that, if you mention my name, I am sure they are to give you endless drinks.
I feel like that's a trap.
I would never.
He gives a chuckle and nods towards Quincy, who's currently deep in conversation with Captain Buckler. Want me to buy you and Utaka a round of drinks? Are the others behind you, or?
No, that is fine. I am not drinking today.
Oh, must be a special occasion.
Yeah, we've had a rough few days.
You could always ask for a, what was it, a bramble belt?
That would be a mistake.
Yes,
Don't do that.
Quincy's been pushing that. We've been playing it safe. Yeah, Harris, I will say you notice the elvish woman kind of like snorts a little bit whenever you comment on you guys having a rough few days, but beyond that doesn't say a whole lot, just kind of glancing between the two of you.
She doesn't get to complain. They got their memories wiped of Nightmare. But I will offer them a smile. Sorry about that. I'm going to walk over that way. I saw a acquaintance, you could say, since I wish to grant.
The group give you nods, and Joshua looks to you, Taka. You two take care, and tell the others I said hello.
Can I catch you for a moment?
Yeah.
Not you.
Joshua looks a little surprised, but nods to the kobold next to him and pats them on the shoulder and hops off and kind of walks a little bit of ways from you. There's nowhere in the tavern right now with how crowded it is that you can go to be truly private, but he at least walks away from Gaharis and his party members and looks to you with a tilted head and a raised eyebrow. What's up?
Is he wearing anything portable and snatchable that I could just sleight of hands off of him? Just kind of like in a flourish, like not like I'm not trying to like actively steal from him. It would be kind of obvious that I'm doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, more making the point that you can grab it. Make an investigation check. I'll give you advantage since you're right next to him and he's not like particularly
okay,
worried.
so that's a 19 then.
Looking over his person, the only things that seem immediately obvious that you can take from him is the same somewhat rusted looking short sword that you had seen him wielding in Nightmare, and a very familiar looking fireworks wand on his belt.
Okay. I kind of want to snatch the short sword just right out of its sheath. Just kind of like pull it up and kind of like give it a gentle twirl. I know we're in a stuffed room, so...
No, it's not like pack. It's just like
Okay.
there's a lot. It's mostly just people at tables, just taking up
Okay,
space.
so then like a gentle twirl. So like
yeah.
I'm clearly doing this.
Yeah. And he kind of raises a bit of an eyebrow. And Utaka looking over the blade. You've never held it. It's this curved machete with a tar black handle, and what you initially taken to be rust looks more closely like dried blood on inspection. But you give this blade a twirl, and Joshua watches, a combination of more confused and nonplussed as he watches you.
I just wanted to check in, I guess. I know you've had a rough 7 years?
You could call
it
it that.
was like a few months out here, but...
I'm still getting used to that, but yeah.
So, I don't know what all you saw in there, and you don't gotta talk about that. I ain't gonna push it. But... guess it was a long time ago for you. Back in the caverns below the temple we found you in. I think you were having a little rough time down there.
Yeah.
I just guess I wanted to do something for you. Bring it a little round circle.
All right.
Maybe I just don't want you to go around hating Inklim anymore. Maybe send a cleric to come and bring you out of Nightmare. I don't know. But here. And he will kind of like show his other palm, and he seems to have kind of surreptitiously palmed a bit of what looks like red glistening dust in his palm, and he will take Joshua's blade and kind of run it along his palm as he casts continual light on that blade.
As the blade begins to glow, he tilts his head a little bit and kind of looks you up and down and stares at you for a long moment before smiling slightly, and if you allow him, taking the blade back and looking it over with a nod before sheathing it. Thank you, Utaka.
So, no hard feelings, right?
I suppose no hard feelings.
That's all I can really ask for.
He gives a bit of a shrug and a nod. You enjoy yourself. From what I've been hearing through the rumor mill, things are probably going to get complicated for you once if you intend to go back to work after you've gotten some rest.
The fuck are people saying about me?
Not about you, just... This festival's normally a lot more crowded. I mean, obviously some of that could be attributed to the plague, but if even half the rumors I've been hearing are true, then there's a lot of people out there who could use your help also.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're gonna head to some swamp and get wet or something. I don't know. We'll see. Or not get wet. I guess they're like drying. I don't know. I don't really understand that shit.
If I manage to get wind of anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
All right.
Take care.
You too.
And he returns to his group. Harris, you, while Utaka was doing this, you went to approach Quincy and Captain Buckler. Looking closer, you see Captain Buckler again. Appears to be a human woman, but a bit on the elderly side. Her hair is kept under a bandana, but drapes down the sides in tied dreadlocks that are definitely visibly silvering and graying. It looks like she may have been blonde at one point and is starting to gray, but wears a very fine red feathered hat, very similar to your own, with a matching fine coat. Carries herself with a air of nobility, despite being in illicit businesses when the mood strikes her, and is kind of gently holding a mimic in a cage under her arm that kind of struggles and snaps every so often.
Captain Buckler, I presume?
She kind of perks up and turns to you and looks you up and down, and she stares at you for a long moment. Her face is deeply freckled and tanned by time spent sailing, but after a while she gives a wide smile, having a very friendly, personable demeanor about her. Have we met before?
I don't believe that we've had the pleasure. We have roamed around in the same circles, but never had the chance to interact.
I suppose I'm coasting on reputation then. A pleasure. And she holds out a somewhat bony hand.
Yeah, I will shake the hand. Harris Nervos. Goldshine Investigation.
Brooke Buckler. I'm the, at the moment, let's call it an animal trader. And she, jostles the mimic cage a little bit.
Mimics. You have a lot of experience wrangling these?
No, but there was a bit of an excess down in Salerno, and Quincy put in an order for a few, and we decided to help them out with the infestation a little bit.
I am so glad to hear it. My adventuring party and myself killed the mother and father of all of them.
Oh, is that so?
I hope they don't bear a grudge.
She kind of looks down at the mimic and holds the cage out to you almost experimentally. The mimic just and she kind of looks to it. It always does that. Hard to tell.
That is entirely fine. They're easy enough to kill.
plops it on the counter and leans back with her arms crossed, looking you over. Is there something you need? I'm not keeping you from ordering drinks from Quincy, am I?
Absolutely not. I've heard very good things about the Bramble Belt. But the only reason I want to stop by was I wanted to pick your brain. You have seen far more of the world than I have.
Where the waves meet, anyhow.
News travels fast, but arrows travel faster. Do you happen to know any of the going-ons with the Hell Knights or the Barrel?
Hell Knights. Let me think. She leans on the counter a little bit and drums her bony nails on the countertop as she thinks.
Especially coming up from Salemo.
I haven't had the pleasure directly, but I've heard rumors here and there. Is this about the festival, or... And she kind of looks you over again. Personal business.
This is personal. So, I suppose, in a way, it may be professional.
She thinks for a moment, and... I know some are intending to make it to the festival, though they're going to be a touch late. They don't have the luxury of me granting them passage, unfortunately.
Those poor unlucky bastards.
Beyond that, though, I haven't heard anything that I think you would find particularly useful. I know that Lord Els is currently in Amelia City, attending to business there. Perhaps he'll make the festival if he can clear the time. For Order of Sword-Swinging Knights, you guys have an awful lot of paperwork to be doing.
The paperwork never ends, for some of us. I prefer to speak more with my sword and handle a pen far less.
The mistaken thinking of a man who thinks that the sword is mightier than the pen.
I think that both have their uses. I just would rather have a sword than a pen in a fight.
She kind of stares at you for a minute, and her smile broadens even further, and she gives you almost like an approving nod, like almost as if she's quietly deciding that she likes you. Out of curiosity, what are your plans for after the festival? I don't have any jobs lined up, so I was thinking of having some fun on the coast. But if you and your mates need passage to anywhere around the region, there may be some room on the ship.
Did we have a name of the marsh that Griez is from?
Yes, Griez identified it as the Black Swamp.
Would you be able to get us to the Black Swamp?
I can't get you to the Black Swamp, but I can get you close.
Then we may have business to discuss. I believe after the festivals, that is the first place I am going.
Very well. She thinks for a moment, and I'm thinking of staying in town for probably the first week of the festival, and she pats the top of the mimic cage. This was the only real business I had here, but I intend to give the crew plenty of time to celebrate. After that, I intend to head down south a little bit. In case I'm not here for you to discuss that business with me, I will likely be down in the southern village of Ground. It's right by the coast of the lake. Just head down south, you can't miss it. And she gestures to her bright red outfit. I'm hard to miss.
As all wonderful and most important figures in the world. And you strike a very important figure.
She takes off her feathered cap, revealing a smooth dark maroon bandana, and gives you a deep bow with the flourish of the hat before putting it back on.
As a party, had we kind of come to an agreement on how long of the festival we intended to stay for?
The party had not discussed it on screen.
Oh,
but,
okay, out of game, how long do you
yeah.
think we all would have wanted to stay for the festival? The entire duration of the 2 weeks or whatever, or like a week?
I don't think Utaka has an opinion on this.
If
I
Ron
figured
was gonna
everyone thing.
If Ron was gonna put forth that we just slip out in the dead of night.
Okay. So,
Like- like-
like 6 days would be reasonable that we could get all our stuff, enjoy the festival, leave. Well, if you
That
are
might
here,
even be a little long. Like Israel's like, I was expecting to spend 2 days here and then
Yeah.
like ollie out, man. Like,
yeah.
Can I slip over? 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
The conversation sounds a little
If
longer.
Easily,
if
yeah.
I see you come close, I would introduce you.
Hey,
This is my companion, a most powerful cleric of
that's
Ninkla,
me.
Utaga,
And
and
Amphitrite.
Umberly. That is the other one. I forget.
Amphitrite.
Amphitrite. You say her name so much less that I forget.
That ain't true. And I bet she knows how to say it. I nod over to the captain.
She actually gives a nod and actually seems to take a bit of an interest in you, Taka, as you say this. Something of a worshiper, are you?
A worshiper?
You know, religious folk.
Yeah, sure.
Interesting. She kind of looks you over for a little bit and just
The word's a cleric.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I suppose in 7 days we would be more than happy to go with you.
Where are we going?
To the swamp, of course.
Yeah.
And out of the city, quite honestly. I think if we sneak out, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I can't deny you that.
And who else to best sneak out of a city with?
She gives another bow. All right. The plan for me and my crew, if you wish to come with us, we were going to head down south to the village of Ground, shop there for a few days with whatever money we managed to get from this job, then head down to the town of Jor, and make our way across the lake. If you intend to go to the Black Swamp, I think the best place for us to drop you off would be Nadia.
Then, that sounds like a wonderful idea.
Oh, he's got jokes.
Unfortunately, that is almost all I have.
She looks you over again.
That ain't true.
I don't think that's accurate, but she.
This is the man who walked up to the 7 generals of the Redfield Army and talked them all into leaving. That's
see-
Harris Otheris.
You see her face kind of scrunch a little bit as you misname a couple
The
things,
Redfield
but
Yup.
gives a smile
Perfectly in character.
but gives a respecting nod. Indeed, I've heard a few of the stories here and there. And she gives you a nod to Harris. In that case, I suppose I'll see you in a week. Although perhaps we'll see each other again. I intend to get a few winnings from some of the drinking games around here. I can drink most of the people in this city under the table.
I have no doubt. But I really must be going. My date is waiting. And I will slide like 5. What was it? A bramble pelt was like 5 gold, right?
Yeah, just because it's a lot of exotic alcohol.
I order 1 bramble pelt for her as I walk out the door.
I'm a little dumbfounded by his use of the word date. There's like mental calculations, just like
Yeah, galaxy
scrolling,
brain.
What is it, confused Sarah Jessica Parker's? Or whatever.
All right. In that case, Garrus and Utaka, is that the last of your business in the Lucky Griffin?
Yep, and we do have a hydrate or before you dihydrate.
Oh. All right.
Thank you, Chris, and a posture check.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, so Garrus and Utaka, you start making your way out of the Lucky Griffin. Avron, you start making your way home to tend to the animals. And Griaz and Israel, you start heading to the local armorers to potentially get some new duds to protect yourselves before you wreck yourselves. And while the group is scattered all over Vale Bright, before the festival's even begun, already enjoying themselves, we're going to take a break.
Okay, so we will see you all in 5 whole minutes. That's a whole lot of time. That's like 20 plus turns, maybe. So, you know, get some water, get a snack, you know, tell someone you love them. Tell us you love us if you really want to. I won't say no. But we will see you all in 5 minutes. Stay cool, stay frosty, and we'll rejoin you soon. Now you only have 4 minutes. That's true. everyone, I lied. I'm sorry. We got a chat in, and you know what happens? We lose track. But we're
You
back.
can't tell time. That's the answer.
I never learned how to read. Time.
Time is a construct.
Yeah.
What's up? I'm Jared. I'm 17 and never finally learned how to read.
I miss Vine every day.
Remember
Yeah.
Vine?
Hi, I'm Jared. I'm 19 and I never fucking learned how to read.
Hi, this is
What's up,
my
fellow
brother Ben.
kids?
I am starting a petition to put him down.
I think we just had the worst single set of frames that we've ever had on this stream. 3 of us dabbing while one of us quotes a Vine.
Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, it's all you, buddy.
No, that's chickens.
So,
I smell like beef.
I'm looking at Harris and Evron in a tub together, so it can be 2 bros chilling in a hot tub 5 feet apart because they're not gay.
Oh, I was gonna say because their paladins bonuses like their saves don't stack.
That's even better.
So-
Because they're safe.
Someone save me, please.
You guys can cast Entangle if we want Vine.
Anyway, so we're shopping,
Send
right?
help
Yeah.
imminently.
So- you guys are getting in some shopping and work done before the festival truly begins tomorrow, with games and the bulk of the guests arriving. Griaz and Israel, the 2 of you had intended to go armor shopping. The dwarvish tailors directed you to a relatively nice armorers on the 2nd tier of Veilbright. Seems to be a family-run, humble, but they seem to make good. The armors you can see on display are clearly very well made. What sort of armor are either of you, if any, looking to pick up?
I am looking at, I believe. Ooh, actually, I can afford possibly a chain shirt. That'd be pretty legit. Maybe.
Okay.
I think because I'm a warlock, I have armored caster, so I can wear up to a chain shirt without arcane spell failure.
Okay.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please stop me.
I believe that is correct. Would you be proficient? Because chain shirt is medium armor.
Okay, no, I'm proficient in light armor. I thought.
Yeah,
chain
so the highest you can go up to
light
is,
armor. God damn it.
yeah, so the highest you can go up to is studded leather.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a nice, either magical or otherwise studded leather.
Looking around, a typical studded leather will run you 45 gold. You don't see any magic studded leathers around, as you know, typically dedicated shops would sell magic wares. So you see, more typical studded leathers on display. But if you like, you can run to Basil's and see about getting yourself magical studded leather. Okay.
That is what was her hope. So.
Okay.
That's what to do.
Griaz, is there anything in the way of armor you want to get also, or you just following along?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just along for the ride. I can't, because of where my magic comes from, I can't wear like a lot of traditional armors. I can't do metals. I don't know what the small spirits get all fucking weird about it. So yeah, I stick with my studded leather, and that's about as far as he'll let me get. But I think what he will do is just kind of chit chat with Junior, because Junior's a medium creature. And if he could like take on the form of armor, that's organic. So he's just, hey Junior, I just want you to make mental notes. You just want to take in, look around, see something you like. We can try it on. We can try this later.
Try this later.
Yeah, you got
Israel
it, buddy.
just
All right.
gives you a look, a little horrified look, as she looks to the mimic and looks to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to risk getting inside of this motherfucker. We're going to see how this works. And yep. Mm-hmm.
You see the shopkeeper's
have-
looking at the two of you with no small amount of concern, but
Who's staring at?
So she would confirm with the shopkeep, there is no magical studded leather armor here, correct?
The shopkeeper, a genasi, seemingly water, kind of shakes their head, a very young male genasi boy. No, we don't deal in the magic stuff. Most of our customers wouldn't be able to afford it anyway.
Oh well. Do you have anything that waterproofs gear? Preferably leather.
Yeah. How much do you need?
Just enough for 2 sets of armor.
He kind of quietly does the math before giving you a nod and digs around in a few shelves and behind the counter before presenting you with 2 small, like palm-sized casks of some sort of oil, and just here. This polish should be hydrophobic. 1 gold for both.
Perfect.
Hey,
Flip some gold,
Hydrophobic.
please.
We did that recently.
That we did.
He kind of looks a little confused, but doesn't press too deeply.
The look on Israel's face is like, please, like, don't do it. Don't do it, man.
Do not engage with me.
He gives you a understanding nod, and all right. So Israel, you have 2 wells of armor polish that will make it water resistant, so it does not sustain water damage. And I will say, asking at Basil's, because his stock is a bit on the low side right now, as he had to distribute or get rid of most of it in the wake of the plague. He does have magical studded leathers on hand, but they are jacked up a little bit in price to, again, account for recent events. +1 studded leather will run you 5,000, and studded leather +2, 50,000.
God. We're running scams around here. She does mutter, like, I have magic in my pinkies, but put a thimbleful on a piece of leather and suddenly it's 5,000 gold. Insane.
Basil kind of holds up his hands. In my defense, like I said, I had to get rid of most of it. But you feel him lean up against your leg. But if you're going to be in town for a while, once I get more of my stock back in, the price will go down if you're willing to wait.
How long?
He thinks for a moment. 4 days.
I'll check back.
He gives you the
He
okay
does
hand.
not sound optimistic.
Gives you the okay hand and vanishes.
Well, God damn it. I was going to ask how much the price was going to go down.
You feel a weight on your head and see his arms, like as he lounges on your head, and his elbows block your eyes, Griaz, as he... Well, for all of you, since you've been such good customers, you can feel his legs kind of kick against the back of your head, and Griaz, as he... Basil looks you over, Israel. How much do you have?
We're also talking for the both of us here, because if you got magical studded leather, I'm also interested.
Oh. He...
I have 600 gold.
Magical armor doesn't come cheap, I hope you know.
Well, yes, but
That stuff
usually
to
600
trade.
gold can feed an entire village for, what is it? She quickly does some math. 7 years?
Basil gives a bit of a shrug. It's market price, dear. I don't know what to tell you. But I'm willing to cut...
Bogus.
I'm willing to cut you a deal. And you feel his hands on your cheeks, Griaz, as he kind of pulls your face into a smile. 500 from the both of you right now, but when you come back to Veilbright from your travels, I expect the rest in full, with interest. The price will be knocked down to 2,500 for each set of magical armor.
How
He
big is
got
it?
close to that.
Yeah, how much is interest?
He thinks it over for a minute, and I am pretty interested. So my interest, probably the interest of your boss. She's probably interested in your survival, I imagine. I suppose it's our boss now, though, isn't it? The interest of the people in town for you protecting them. It's a lot of interest. You're very interesting people.
Just charge it to the GSIA, dang it. We got stuff to do.
He pats your
They can
cheeks.
garnish our wages. Put it on their tab.
He pats.
We can do a down payment. I can offer you some mimic poison, which I have an abundance of, and you probably have very little of, and a free sample of bramble pelt.
I have heard rumors of this circulating in Quincy's Tavern recently. Oh. Griaz, make a persuasion check with advantage.
That's only a 15. I got a +0. So
Israel's going to reach around her neck and pull off an amulet and toss it Basil's way. It is an amulet of proof against detection and location. How much did that knock off the price?
He looks it over. Amulet against amulet of what now?
Amulet of proof against detection and location.
Okay. He mulls it over, considering. Oh. He looks at the state of your current armor and does seem to actually consider that you do seem to need the armor pretty badly. And looking at the amulet, he twirls it, catches it in his palm, and looks to you, Griaz. I'll tell you what. In exchange for this, that free sample of bramble pelt and the mimic poison, I'll give you both of the armor sets as soon as I have them in stock. Like I said, I'll be getting them in a few days. And I'll take what you're offering me and ask Mistra to skim off the top of your next paycheck. Beyond that, I'll let you have it, I suppose. But don't expect me to
overstate your generosity.
He gives you a nod. Lord knows this is not my best business financial decision, but I suppose it's thanks to you two that I can even open my doors back up again, so I'll take what I can get.
Cost benefit analysis. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Understand, I'm not trying to rob you. This kind of armor is incredibly rare. This enchantment's not easy.
Which I think is absolutely ludicrous. Someone should fix that. It seems a little... Considering how dangerous things are these days.
Well, things are getting a lot safer with you all in town. And Griaz, you feel him roll off of your head and vanish.
At the cost of what?
I think it was 2,500 if I'm remembering correctly.
Meanwhile, I remember the loss of time, sanity, reality. Am I missing something? She looks to Griaz.
Our bowels.
Yeah.
Don't want to lose those.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Anyway, thanks. We'll see you in 4 days.
Ta-ta.
I will leave a. You got a cup? I can just pour you some bramble pelt right now.
He holds up his hands. I'm afraid I don't. But you feel a pulling at your leg. I do, though. And he holds up a relatively large mug that looks like it's straight from Quincy's.
Yeah, I didn't know if you just wanted to Cancun this and you just want me to tilt the barrel into your mouth at this point while everybody starts screaming and I whistle at you and shit. All right, yeah. Enjoy and run. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Israel, do you?
Oh,
As
she's
he,
not running, but she's definitely slipping out that door. She is gone.
all right. Griaz, the last thing you see as the two of you slip out is him curiously examining the colorful drink as multiple basils gather around the mug. All right. And Yvonne, heading back to the house. Yao is taking their usual perch on the front porch. Barry, as you open the door, skitters about the house. Junior is currently with Griaz, and you do not know actually where Francine is at the moment. You haven't seen her in a while, but you do see Barry and Yao at the house as always.
I'd get them dressed up or tidied up, anyways, and he'd call out to Francine if they're there. See if they're there.
As you give out a call, you feel a very familiar wet sensation on the top of your head as Francine shimmers into view, looming over you and kind of very, very delicately gnawing on your head, and you can hear an audible kind of gurgle of disappointment as they seem to much prefer Gaharis's horns to your head.
I'm sorry, Francine. He'll be back sooner rather than later, I'm sure. Here, I have this. Was it a harness? I said.
Yeah, you got a harness.
I have this harness that I think might look rather dashing. No reason you shouldn't take part in the festivities.
Both of the eyes lock firmly on the harness, and they kind of hop up and down excitedly, and promptly gargoyle up to make it easier for you to help them get into it. It takes some time. Francine is more energetic than their attempts to stand still would let on, but you are able to get Francine into a relatively nice-looking harness. Makes them look a little less like a borderline sentient animal and more like a functioning member of Veilbright society.
There you go. Pretty as a pearl, Francine. There you are.
Francine puts their chameleon hands together and dances in place, kind of hopping up and down and dancing side to side, and starts to scurry off towards town, likely to show off their new fineries. Barry, in their bow, kind of tilts their head up at you, and Yao kind of looks down at their freshly polished bell and kind of stretches a bit on the porch before laying back down.
Well, seem to have some time. I guess I'll just take a walk. And he'll just spend the rest of the night, again, going door to door and making sure people are doing all right. Because I think some of their houses were destroyed during...
Not outright destroyed, but yeah, there were damages. Basically, the wild magic from the lycanthropy would cause things to get, like, for instance, you've seen bookshelves being like phasing through the wall, but then getting stuck there. You had heard that several unfortunate infected suffered a similar fate, but with the doctor treating them, are recovering.
Yeah, so he'd go door to door and shake hands and make sure everyone's all right, and maybe kind of fall back into his daily routine where he goes and heals the infirmed, or gives money to the poor. However much he tries. But yeah, definitely showing face, shaking hands and kissing babies, and just trying to be a good dude.
Okay. Overall, the townspeople are still a little nervous, but recovering. The people are grateful for you and your teams saving them. And also seem happy that it took them a while to come around to the idea, but they seem warming up to the idea of Veilbright having the festival after all. And overall, things seem good. You can choose how much money you want to give to the poor of Veilbright, but the people themselves seem like they're recovering well enough. You actually during one of your check-ins, stumble across Dr. Tails helping someone who, in their infection, had gotten stuck partway through the house's wall, using their magic to pull them free and immunize them to further infection. And with that, as Ivran is a good boy, Israel and Griaz have their down payment for magical armor organized, and Utaka and Garrus seem to have organized the party's trip to the Black Swamp. Is there anything left you guys would like to do before settling in for the night and preparing for tomorrow's festival?
Nope.
I would like to slink off to work for the late in the evening.
Is there gambling going on, like, or games?
Most of the games are still under construction. However, I will say when you ask around about them, people do tell you about some of the games that are being prepared. Most of them don't. Most of them are things you would see at other festivals, you know, sandbag tosses and rings and hoops and that sort of thing. But one game you've been hearing about that some of the more adventurous townsfolk are sound very interested in is a game that is something of a winter festival tradition that simply is called Mimic Roulette.
The minute I hear that, I go straight home, bang on Griaz's door. Griaz, there is a game we have to play tomorrow. I saw.
Oh yeah, who you killing? Wait, what?
There is a game called. Oh gosh, it's called Mimic Roulette. That is apparently a game.
There's a new bathtub in that room, Garrus, that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, Garrus, you see Melvin's bed has been moved in place of a massive bathtub filled with water with Utaka's fish swimming within.
This is where the fish lives.
You know, I'm not even going to question it. That makes absolute sense. After all, it needs to live in water. But there is a game called Mimic Roulette. Is there a way we can rig this game? With Junior?
There's always a way to rig games. Man, come on. Yeah, hell yeah. I was gonna rig half the shit out there anyway. Yeah.
So what you are saying is that tomorrow we could make a lot of money. Or magical weapons.
Based on what Israel and I agreed to yesterday, yes, we will need to. Yes.
Then I'm in.
Hey, same. Let's do this shit. Hell yeah.
I lift my pouch of gold. Currently, Garrus has 1,323 gold on them.
All right.
That's nice.
Yeah, Israel would have spent some time after, I guess, they were leaving to sell off some items.
Okay, what do you want to sell?
I have 4 crystals worth 200 gold pieces that I will be selling.
Okay.
800 gold.
Yep,
I think.
all right.
Right?
So you sell off your crystals to a jeweler?
And, I have a dragon tooth necklace here. I don't know what it's worth. It doesn't say. I just have one.
Make a persuasion check to see how much you can get for it.
Sure. Where is persuasion? Great. I've got plenty. That is a 23.
It takes you a bit of convincing, but you are able to convince a local pawn shop owner to take the necklace for 150 gold. Yeah, you muted.
She did eye the emerald necklace, but she's like, no, I'm keeping that.
All right. So, as
150, right?
150 for the dragon tooth necklace, yeah, in addition to your money from selling the crystals. All right, so anything else? All right. So, Israel, as you return from making a little bit of money to make up for your investment in magical armor, Ivran, you return from a day of presenting face and kissing babies. Griaz and Gaharis prepare to rig tomorrow's festival in their favor with some gambling. Utaka, you slip out of the house, Barry kind of curiously following behind you. What would you like to do?
I would like to roll up what basically feels like at closing time to the GSIA headquarters, actually going to work.
Okay.
And kind of like find out what department I should go to, because I've heard down the grapevine, and by the grapevine I mean literally from Dr. Tail's mouth, that they're going to need a lot of holy water to cure the city. So he would like to donate 7 spell slots to creating holy water, as long as the GSIA is funding the powdered silver.
Yeah, which they are. They already have quite a bit on hand for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he'll donate some of his time and magic to furthering that.
And I will say that doing this actually allows you a direct encounter with someone that a few people that the party has not met yet. You've heard that about the GSIA research teams, the people who have actually been researching alongside Melvin, the abilities that the people you've been capturing have, and figuring out ways to replicate them in safe ways for their field teams. Heading to the research department, a place that no one in the party has actually been yet. Heading inside, you find yourself in a relatively, it's on the larger side, but still feels very cramped and sterile because of how bleached white and crowded everything is. There's supplies and tools everywhere.
I immediately feel out of place.
And looking around for someone who seems like they might be in charge, you see a relatively tall, skinny figure in a dark black lab coat. It looks like it was white at one point, but has been stained this black color since then. And as the door shuts behind you, they turn to look at you. You kind of startle a little bit as you see this bleach white figure, no hair and dark glowing blood red eyes. Their face is completely flat, no nose visible, and just this bleach white skin, and the red eye doesn't seem to have any visible pupil. The skin...
What do I think they are?
Make a nature check.
Okay. That is a 13.
You have not the foggiest. You don't even...
Vampire.
You see that they are wearing this inky dark lab coat. The skin is smooth but appears to be slightly wet, similar to your own. And while the red eyes do not have any pupils, you do see gold outlines to it. And
they have gills?
With that earlier nature check,
I mean, I know what gills look like. I have gills.
No, but like
Okay.
it's a thing of like with everything you're taking in, do you notice them if they're there?
That's fair.
And you do see a set of gills low on their neck.
Huh.
And they tilt their head at you. Oh, you're Utaka, right? One of the blue ones. Field Team C.
Yeah, something like that.
Is there something I can help you with?
I was more thinking about something I could help you with. They kind of pointed me in this direction. You know, back at the front desk, they were like, head that way. There's people there that do the research stuff, and you're wearing a coat.
Indeed, I am. I'm head researcher of the GSIA. And she holds out a pale, wet-looking hand. Dr. Alexa Ulysses.
Cool. I will shake her hand with my also wet hand.
Yeah, it's wet, and as her palm pulls free, you can actually feel suction as her hand pulls away, and she puts her fingers together. So you think you can help out with my research in some way? I currently have my tentacles full working on the cure for the wild lycanthropy.
I don't know what more I could do about that. I had some time to talk to Dr. Tails. You might have heard. And kind of got the lay of the situation that y'all have a shortage of holy water.
Well, less of a shortage and more we're having to make sure it's distributed carefully. I read your vitals. You're a cleric, so I'm guessing you can make more of the stuff?
That was a thought.
Well, I'm not going to turn down extra supplies. You have any on you, or are you just going to make it here in the lab?
Well, I got some powdered silver, but I was more thinking of you using your powdered silver.
I have no shortage of silver here in the lab. Polly! And you turn your attention, you see on one of the cabinet tops, you see a bright green and red tropical colored parrot that kind of tilts its head as she calls to it. Polly, powdered silver. We're going to make some holy water. Get more of this cure synthesized. And the parrot gives a nod and flutters off and starts like pulling open one of the counters. And you watch as this bird actually goes through the motions of gathering a small baggie of powdered silver to bring to you.
I look immediately to Garnet, like with a look of like chastisement. Like, why can't you do shit like that?
This bright green and red colorful parrot lands on the table in front of you and deposits the silver baggie at the corner for you. All right, you work your magic. I'm gonna get all the other supplies gathered. And two things happen in rapid succession that like catch you off guard. You watch as she starts to approach the cabinets to gather supplies, and as she puts her arms up to start pulling open cabinets and gathering things, several tentacles emerge from her sleeves and start operating on different cabinet doors. Between her regular hands and the tentacles, 6 in total, that start like working on completely different things. And you watch this in concern as the tentacles are also that like kind of unnerving pale white color. And you turn your attention to the parrot that's still staring at you. And the parrot stares for a long moment before giving a small bow of the head and, I don't believe we've met. I'm junior researcher Polly.
What?
Junior researcher Polly.
Yeah, that's what you said. So you gotta forgive me? Does the bird need to forgive me? Just I've been through some shit recently. Am I seeing something?
You hear Dr. Ulysses kind of laughing as she goes through the cabinets. That is my junior assistant. And no, you're not hallucinating.
Okay, because it's been a rough. Yeah. Would not recommend going to the Plane of Nightmare. Don't do that.
Oh, it's a shame. I was thinking of making it my vacation spot.
No.
Polly gives a apologetic bow, and you watch as they grab for a lens to hold, use their talon to hold up to their eye as they talk. I believe I can explain the situation. I'm what's called an awakened animal. I was created by a druid.
Like a swamp spirit?
Something along those lines, yes. And I was blessed with rather intricate intelligence by my creator, so I thought it would be best to put my scientific mind to use somewhere, well, useful.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
happy for you.
Oh, I'm happy for you as well. I know you went through an awful lot in Nightmare, Utaka, and let me just say, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, but I've heard good things about you and your team, and I'm happy you all managed to make it back unscathed.
Good things? What are they saying about me?
That you saved the city, and a lot of people owe you their lives.
Oh. Yeah. I guess. You think they'd, pay city savers a little more? But I guess you're not payroll, are you?
Oh, actually, I am. I work here.
No, I mean, like, you're not, like, handling, like, deciding how much I get.
Oh,
right? Unless you are, because then I got some complaints.
Oh, no. Dr. Ulysses and I simply study the abilities of those you send in and find ways to replicate them. It was our research. We're actually currently working on figuring out how to make Joshua Scott Sr.'s abilities useful to you and your friends. Hopefully we'll have it finished before you leave.
What kind of sneak peek can you give me? Well, yeah.
Dr. Ulysses splays their hands out, and while they have the supplies for holy water in their tentacles, their hands completely free as they look delighted as soon as you ask that. Oh, it's marvelous. Turns out that hoodie they wear managed to soak up quite a bit of the energy. It was already magical to begin with, so we managed to filter it a little bit. We're hoping, if it works, we're still in the testing phase, but we're hoping if it works, you can literally pull the phobias from your enemies' minds and have them fight on your side. Gives you an extra...
You've got to show me how that works.
Oh, it's incredible. I wasn't joking when I said I was considering vacationing in Nightmare. So much to study.
Y'all are fucking crazy, but I want to see this shit.
All right, it's still being tested. I can't guarantee your safety. In fact, I'm not even going to suggest your safety.
I don't remember what being safe feels like, so who the fuck cares?
All right, it's time for a test then. Come on, with us.
I will stay the evening night with them, whatever.
Yeah. And indeed, they have either a copy or perhaps pulled straight off of his head of Joshua Sr.'s hood that they were wearing that shielded their face, which from their demonstrations, it's still being tested, but indeed, using the very energy of Nightmare, it can pull phobias to life as temporary aid. Although you notice during the test that they seem a little on the weak side, similar to Israel's marionettes on an individual level, but the extra set of hands being helpful, especially as Dr. Ulysses happily babbles about for the entire test. Its use as psychological warfare is arguably more helpful than its use as providing you extra hands.
He's intrigued. Yeah, he will listen to them babble about magic. Like, he does find this all fascinating.
And Dr. Ulysses seems delighted that someone actually cares. Polly seems just as scientifically minded and very smart for a bird. But it seems like you get the idea that even though someone would look at these two and assume Polly was the pet, you more get the impression that Polly as the junior assistant is having to keep Dr. Ulysses from like going overboard or not being considerate about things. But you spend the bulk of the night helping them develop holy water and test the item. And with that, when you eventually
fall asleep on a desk.
Are you just gonna sleep there?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
All
depending on how late this research conversation is. Yeah, that's not. No, I shouldn't use that word. But how long this conversation goes.
All right. In that case, as you all also the comments. But so Utaka, you spend the night with Dr. Ulysses and junior research assistant Polly, testing the mask and developing holy water to distribute to Veilbright. As the rest of you sleep at home, the night passes, and one by one, you all begin to awake. Utaka's still in the depths of GSIA HQ, although during the night a blanket has been hastily thrown over you, although you don't know by whom. And as you all begin to awake, the town is loud and bustling as the Winter Festival has officially begun. Is there anything noteworthy you guys would like to do just while waking up in the morning?
Was I able to pick up my clothing that night?
Yeah, and as I said, you paid well, so you can decide how it looks, essentially.
Awesome. So yeah, I think the first thing, cause like I said, this is the first like new set of clothing he's had in a long time. He typically wears like a very worn set of studded leather armor, but now he's got something fancy. It is styled to his kind of bugbear dress. It's got kind of a high collar. It is like a dark forest green. Has like wooden toggle buttons on the left side, kind of almost like military style with the crossover with the line going down the side. Belt going around, big old scarf because it's also like a little chilly, almost like it just kind of wraps a couple times around with draping over the sides. Got kind of higher shoulder pads to it. He did instruct that it should have removable sleeves, which you can't necessarily see the stitching to them because it's underneath the shoulder pad area. But just in case, he needs to wear it for warm weather, because this is his one suit that he wears to like interviews and also funerals and everything else, and it needs to be available for like all different type of inclement weather. Yeah, he's also got like some nice breeches and some boots to go with it, like some nicer leather gloves, and he's feeling real fancy. And he slept like on his face so that he didn't mess up his hair from what Israel did.
Aww.
And that's like first thing is he's just getting dressed. It's like, hey, Junior, I look good, right?
Look good.
Hell yeah. And he's gonna have I guess Junior's still a pretty decent looking flashy shield. So he'll have Junior like pseudopod around like a leather belt essentially to like wrap around his chest, and he'll just carry Junior on his back.
Okay. All right. Griaz is all gussied up. What are the rest of you doing?
I think Gaharis doesn't make breakfast, but does wake up early. And I think that he gets all dressed, gets his hair cut, goes to a bathhouse. Even if I can't take a long rest, I guess I probably would have gone to bed early though. And would have bought a bouquet of flowers, like winter lilies. And would have gotten all dressed up, and in the morning would have waited until like it's clear Israel was awake, and greeted her as she came out of the room with like the bouquet.
It's really cute.
All right.
Hopefully,
And-
while he was out doing all of that, she also got dressed and bathed for the day. And she's also set out sets of winter clothing outside of people's rooms for people. So you have wool socks and like a wool overshirt to put over like an under tunic, and wool pants, things that you can easily wear under your armor, but also make you warm and are waterproof. Also for going into a swamp that's probably going to be cold and awful. She provides these things, and she leaves one of the bottles of the armor waterproofing for Griaz outside his door. And so everyone gets winter clothes. Congratulations.
Okay. All right. Everyone has a set of winter clothing. And Israel, you, I presume, get your own order of fancy clothes as well from the dwarves. And Gaharis greets you with their bouquet. And Ivron, what are you up to?
I like to think that Ivron, not having drank the night before, he'd wake up at dawn as usual and just get ready. Yeah, if everyone else is getting ready for the festival, he'll also, much like Gaharis, don on his military uniform regalia, buble of the sable and silver trim and natural trousers. Polished riding boots, because military, you know. And yeah,
Alright.
just gird his great sword and have his crown mourning potion.
Yeah. So
Alright.
her finery looks probably a little bit more simple than what Gaheris bought her before, but it definitely seems more her. She has a underdress that is of linen that has embroidery on the cuffs, and the overdress that goes over it is a dark blue, similar in the hue to Gaheris's blue, but it's just much darker, closer to like a navy, that also has lots of embroidery, sort of like a typical peasant pattern, but it's very pretty, and it's clearly like a winter scene. Like it has like winter doves and mistletoe and things like that on the edge of the collar, around the waist, and around as a design around the edge of the garment. And when she's presented the bouquet, she takes it into her room to set up, but also starts weaving a few into her braids when she comes back out. So now she has winter lilies in her hair.
You look very pretty. They really suit you. His tail's like flicking back and forth. Well, I am your date today, so I hope that we have fun. Also, I may have found this a contact to travel with to get quicker to the marsh.
Oh, really? Excellent. I was not looking forward to a long, wet journey.
It leaves in 5 days.
That should work. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I didn't want to stick around here anyway.
So where to?
I don't know. Should we check out what's on the streets first? Like the vendors and the games? Shouldn't the games be set up?
I follow your lead. I know that there is a mimic game that I intend to play with Griaz, but I have no plans. The day is free, and I am at your will.
Well, let's get everyone together and we can all head off together at first and play some games.
That sounds good.
All right, and that's what they do.
All right, and finally, Utaka, you're gently prodded awake by the beak of junior research assistant Polly, and you kind of startle awake, still at the desk you had been working with Dr. Ulysses to synthesize as much holy water as you could create, and pushing your magic that hard was exhausting. But you see Dr. Ulysses is already awake, but you notice they've swapped out their lab coat for an actually rather nice looking suit. This dark purple color, but with light green lining to it. It's simple, but it suits her, and it really draws attention to how slim their figure is. But they give you a nod as you startle awake, and Polly next to you kind of shuffles into your view and looks you up and down. Hope you were able to sleep well. We were going to head out to enjoy the festival, at least for an afternoon. Would you like to accompany us?
Yeah, that's a... Where's Barry? I start looking around.
Oh, are you referring to the insect?
He's an ant?
And also not a he. You understand that, right?
What?
It's a female. Most ants are female.
Well, I guess the bow makes more sense then. But why didn't she ever corrected me?
I don't think an ant particularly cares, darling.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Come on, clean yourself up. They're probably just waiting for you at your house.
Aren't y'all going? Right?
For at least an afternoon. I don't want to be away from the lab for too long, but thought it'd be good to see the sun.
Yeah, do that. Just, don't go to the tavern. Stay away from the tavern.
Why is that?
There's a new drink in town. Don't recommend it. The Bramble Pelt's a real menace.
Oh, well, we'll be sure to keep an eye on that. If you're ready. And he flies off to perch on Dr. Ulysses' shoulder. And the doctor gives you a bow. And before the bird decides to correct my manners and mannerisms, thank you for helping with the lab work.
Yeah, that was fun.
Really? Oh, you should come visit more often then. I could use some company. And you see Polly look kind of offended slightly.
Yeah, okay. Why the fuck not? Oh. I mean, when we're in town.
When you're in town. Field work, I understand. Hopefully the things I've been making will help you out. Anyways, come on. We're burning sunlight, I think.
Yeah, he will kind of drag himself back together in whatever state he was in yesterday, minus like 5% of put togetherness. Just kind of like push his hair into place. Check like bag, scorpion, ant.
And with that, with the GSIA research team in tow, Utaka, you head out into Veilbright as your friends at home begin to gussing themselves up. The winter festival has begun, and the party has some drinking and merrymaking left in their systems before they make their way to the Black Swamp to save Griaz Bramblepelt's homeland after Bramblepelt is finished destroying Veilbrights. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session. You may have, but yeah, that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh, goodness. I'm excited for next week and all the disasters that we bring on this poor town. But where can everyone find you, lovely players? I'll go last, because I'm lazy.
Hey, everybody. You can only find me here for now. Woo! I don't exist outside of this small piece of simulated reality that I present to you every Friday at 8 Eastern Standard Time for Goldshine Investigations, which you were here for, and every so often on Tuesdays for Anarian's Rest, which will not be returning for like 3 weeks or so don't look for it. But when it does come back, it'll be back at 7:30 EST on Tuesdays. Look out for announcements. It was great playing with you all. I'm so excited.
Hey guys, I'm Pharaoh. You can find me here every Friday at whatever time we start at in EST, which is 8, right? Yeah, 8 EST. You can also find me generally every other Tuesday, but for the next 3 weeks in a row, you can find me on this channel on Tuesday at 7:30 EST. I will be playing Sinra Stottermain, a Leonin Warlock Paladin, Oath of the Crown, and Pact of the Undying. So, otherwise, you can find me on Twitter. I think we will be dropping those links in the chat, and thank y'all for showing up.
Hey everybody, I'm Derek Sword. If you want to find me in any of my projects, the best place is Twitter at dsword16. In addition to this lovely game, I also join Pharaoh and Graham for the upcoming 3 Tuesdays for Against Shards of Anarian. I am playing Verban, a Knoll Ranger, Also, tomorrow we are back with Horizon's Call on Eva Serate's channel. That is 6 p.m. Eastern on Eva Serate. Horizon's Call is an oceanic campaign set in the homebrew world of Damaris. They're about to break into an ice prison. I'm excited. We're gonna see what happens. I'm also the co-host of the podcast Monster Crush. We actually just recorded our 50th episode. It is a 2-hour, 15-minute long banger. I'm super excited for that. So you can find Monster Crush wherever podcasts are found. It's a podcast where my co-host Emily and I talk about different cryptids and creatures and whether they'd be good to smooch and whether they'd be good on a date. It's horrifying and lovely and romantic all at the same time. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us tonight in the audience, and thank you to each and every one of the players for having so much fun every Friday.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy. Once again, I had the pleasure and privilege to play alongside these fine folk as Ivron Blackmont, the Asimar Oath of Devotion Paladin. You, unfortunately, cannot find me anywhere else. I am Graham Cracker's exclusive. He's contracted me for the foreseeable future, and I'm just going to be kept busy here. But if you are interested, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Darkstride. I don't post a whole lot there, though, and if I do, it usually has something to do with everyone else and what they are doing. So look for them. Otherwise, have a good evening.
Since Graham, you usually go last, I will take it. I was Matt, your DM. I played everyone who wasn't the party, who was fantastic, by the way. If you want to see more of my DMing skills, check out my Tuesday game on the Odd Tornado Productions YouTube and Twitch channels of Black Ink and Blue Blood, a campaign taking place in the region of Yav that's been mentioned occasionally. The party is currently traveling through the Underdark beneath the Baradel with Ivron's daughter. So that's fun times. Check that out. If you want to see more of my general writing and just some more world building for this setting, check out my webcomic Undercommon on Tapas and Webtoon, featuring one of the first goblins to ever become an adventurer. And if you want to see more by me or just by anyone I'm lucky enough to get to work with, check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr, where we have links posted to everything I or anyone I work with makes. Everyone's super talented. I was born in a tube for D&D. But I am a lucky man who gets to work with some talented people. And that's it for me.
Which leaves me, oh gosh, oh goodness, oh golly. My name is Graham, and this is my channel. You can find me on Twitter at GrahamCrackers with a Z, 1. Or you can find me here every Tuesday where I DM 2 campaigns. For the next 3 weeks, I am DMing Shards of Anarian as we catch up to Anarian's Rest, which are 2 campaigns in the same homebrew world that I created. Which I'm going to, maybe cause some scarring with some of the parties. But that is not important. Other than that, you can find some other projects I'm on. You can find me on Dimples and Dice every Thursday, where I play Trinwinon Aldemariel, a Eladrin Ranger, Drake Warden, with their lovely, lovely little Drake, Scorch Razor the Everburning. Outside that, you can find me every other Saturday on Polished Cryptids Twitch channel, where I play Mavrin Minados. But today, I played Gaheris Nerthos Blackmont, your Tiefling Oath of Conquest Paladin. And I have had an absolute delight. Everyone here is a fantastic role player and a fantastic friend, and I couldn't be happier having them in my life. And if you want to play games with them, you can't have them. They're mine. Just kidding. You can play with us anytime you want. And if you do want to play with us, you need to message me, because then we'll figure something out. But until then, we're going to raid someone, because we haven't done a raid in a while. We're going to raid Pixel Cat, I think, who is streaming some good old... What are they streaming? They're just chatting, but Pixel does accents, ask them to speak in an Australian accent. Because they are a very good and close friend of mine. And I think there are 2 T's in that. But while I get that ready, does anyone want to say any last-minute words to our lovely, lovely, lovely audience, who are going to have to go until Tuesday?
You all are great and pretty.
You're all great.
Make sure you stay hydrated.
I love
Get
you all.
vaccinated.
You're all incredible.
Hydrate
Wash
before you
your hands.
hydrate. And we are good to go, so we are going to head off. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. We are gonna wander over there and spam that Graham love and the Graham highs in the chat when we get there, because, you know, we need them to know. Because they did
Overthrow
art for
capitalism.
us.